On the 6th of May, on the 72nd day of Russia's full-scale brutal war against Ukraine, the occupiers agreed on the third stage of the evacuation of people from Mariupol to the city of Zaporizhia. But the enemy insidiously broke all agreements once again. During the ceasefire, Russian soldiers shelled a vehicle that was supposed to pick up civilians from Azovstal plant. This was reported by the Azov battalion defending the plant and the city. During the ceasefire on the territory of the Azovstal plant, a car was hit by Russians who used anti-tank guided weapon. One soldier was killed, 6 were seriously wounded. The evacuation convoy stayed in Mariupol almost all day, said Ukrainian Deputy Prime Minister Irina Vereshchuk. The enemy constantly violated the ceasefire. This is why the evacuation was very slow. However, today we managed to get 50 women, children and elderly people out of Azovstal. In addition to civilians, there are Ukrainian military men in the shelters of the Azovstal plant. Many of them are seriously injured in critical condition. The plant is surrounded by the Russian military. Meanwhile, the occupants continue to clear away the rubble of the destroyed city to create a correct picture of peaceful life for Russian propaganda. The equipment marked with the signs of Russian Federation was spotted on the streets of Mariupol, helping to clear the city. 95% of Mariupol now is in rubble. A 15-year-old wounded girl drove 3 men and a woman out of Popasna in Luhansk region. During the evacuation from the city, the car was fired upon by the occupants. All of the adults inside were seriously injured, so the teenager had to drive.
Мужчину ранило, 2 мужчин осколками, одного очень сильно. И пришлось мне сесть за руль и повезти в Бахмут.
Боже, а як ти ухвалила таке рішення? Ну, тобто ти ще маленька.
Просто надо была помощь срочная, чтобы не потерять много крови. Там лежали мины в шахматном порядке. Там проехать не так было. Но я как-то проехала туда.
Courageous Lisa, also wounded in the legs, drove 30 kilometers until the car stalled. The town of Popasna, where Lisa fled from, was destroyed by the occupants. There is not a single living place left in the settlement, and the enemy is not going to stop. This was reported by the head of the Luhansk Regional Military Administration, Serhiy Haidai. In the next 3-4 days, the occupiers will throw all their efforts to break through to either Severodonetsk or Popasna. To conquer the cities, the occupants block the internet and Ukrainian television. Instead, they turn on Russian channels to spread their propaganda. Despite active fighting, there are still about 50,000 civilians in the Luhansk region who are being asked by the authorities to evacuate immediately. The Russian military tortures Ukrainians in the Kherson region. In the temporarily occupied settlements, by all means, Russians try to make people accept and obey occupational authorities.
Біля 500 осіб знаходяться фактично в підвалах, де відбувається щодо таких осіб катування. Дуже активно це і в місті Херсоні, і на адмінмежі з Кримом, наприклад, в містах і Новоолексіївка, населених пунктах і Генічеськ, окупаційні адміністрації або військові приходять з цілими списками, приходять додому, забирають, викрадають.
In the Kherson region, the situation is critical. The Russian military shoots civilians, loots food, and wants to create a quasi-state. But despite this, the brave residents of the region do not stop coming out to rallies for Ukraine. And they plan to do so on the 9th of May, a victory day. According to local activists, it is on this day that the occupants want to announce officially that they have allegedly taken the city. The burnt remains of the man's body have been found in the village of Lipivka in Kyiv region. This was informed by the regional prosecutor's office. The investigation reveals that the man was first wounded by the occupiers, and when he enters his house to hide, the tank cruelly fired at the building. The fact that the Russian torture and kill Ukrainians on purpose was once again confirmed by the Prime Minister of Ukraine during his interview to Polish TV channel.
Кількість цивільних жертв в десятки разів перебільшує військові жертви. Це означає, що це військові злочини, це злочини проти людяності, це геноцид проти українців.
Occupiers have destroyed the museum of prominent Ukrainian philosopher Grigory Skovoroda in Kharkiv region. The missile was launched directly under the roof of the building dated back to the 18th century. As a result of the airstrike, the fire has started. A 35-year-old guard, the son of the director of the museum, was injured. The Ministry of Culture and Information Policy of Ukraine has informed that Russian occupiers have already destroyed or damaged at least 300 buildings which belong to Ukrainian cultural heritage. The greatest losses are in Kharkiv, Donetsk, and Kyiv regions. He stays in touch with his students even being on the front line. Professor Fedor Shandar gives lectures directly from the trench. He worked in Uzhhorod National University and was involved in the development of regional tourism before the beginning of the war. However, now he fights with the occupants in the eastern part of Ukraine, and his motivation to combine schoolwork with military duties is very simple. If fight, then only for the well-educated nation. That is why he can't help teaching.
Уважаемые товарищи, хочу сказать, что, выполняя поставленные задачи по защите наших людей на Донбассе, по обеспечению безопасности нашей Родины, российские солдаты и офицеры действуют мужественно, как настоящие герои. Наши военнослужащие сражаются стойко, с полным пониманием правоты своего дела. Никогда не откажусь от своего убеждения, что русские и украинцы – это один народ. Наши солдаты и офицеры стремятся не допустить жертв среди мирного населения. С полным пониманием правоты своего дела. Жертвуют собой, своей жизнью, чтобы спасти боевых товарищей и мирных жителей. В ходе боев и наши военнослужащие, и ополченцы Донбасса проявляют действительно массовый героизм. Наш народ гордится своими вооруженными силами. Специальная военная операция идет в строгом соответствии с графиком, по плану. Все поставленные задачи успешно решаются.